Good morning. Welcome to the Naperville Women's Club virtual briefing. The first one, May 6th, and this is part one. There'll be a second video as well. I'm Sandy Baker McEwen. I'm your new club president for the year 2021. I'd like to say welcome. This is the day, May 6th, that we would have our first membership meeting of the month. Because of the pandemic crisis, we are unable to have that. So I don't know about you, but I really miss the face-to-face interactions and smiles and enjoying each other's company while enjoying wonderful food. So this is the best I can do for face-to-face, and although I can't say your faces, you can see mine, and well, that's what it is. But before we go any further, I'd like to introduce you to my very low-tech video staff. First of all, there's me. I am the cameraman, the audio person, and everything else, YouTube video. I have two other staff members, though. This one is Shirley. Shirley is my executive producer. And this is Millie. Millie is my makeup artist. Millie is currently pouting because I gave her a couple of suggestions for my makeup and she didn't take to those too well. What are you going to do? You get what you pay for. Anyway, part of this video is to kind of inform you on the things that are going on behind the scenes. We have a new board, and the old board is so gracious to help us transition in these unusual times and basically kind of maybe address the question of what do we do now? It's a strange time for us, and we know that for sure that we will not be having any face-to-face meetings in May. And we'll talk about that a little later. But before I get started, I'd like to send a heartfelt thank you out to the past board. Many of them are still working during this transitioning, helping new board members, which is very difficult when you can't meet face-to-face and share documents and share things. We do meet via WebEx and Zoom and some of the other virtual video conferencing things. It's just not the same as seeing everybody in person. But they did a tremendous job, and I'm very grateful for them and for their ability to stay on and help out. On a special note, I'd like to send a special thanks out to Donna Shaw, our outgoing president. She's not only served as my mentor in this club, and I appreciate that, and she continues to serve as that going forward while she remains as my dear friend. And I'd like to give a special shout out to Karen Smolinski, who our outgoing treasurer, who has spent endless hours interpreting financial lingo for me. I hope it works, Karen, and we'll see in the upcoming year. Next, I'd like to talk about our outreach campaign that we conducted last month. I call it the We're Thinking of You campaign. Thanks to the ideas of Sarah Dorr and Mary Ann Grief, we put together a team with the help of our membership chairs, Mary Scraw and Lori Ryan, to reach out to all of you. First, we started out by simple phone calls, just checking up on you, seeing how you're doing, seeing if you need anything. That was delightful in itself. I got to talk to members that I don't spend time with as much during meetings, so I got to know a few of you a little better than I did before. We followed that up the following week with emails, just to confirm and to assure you that we are still thinking of you and making sure if there are any needs that we could help you meet as fellow members. The last thing we did was send out, I hope, what you would consider cheerful note cards in the snail mail, just to make sure that we're on track. I thought it was a delightful experience for me. I got to know people, got to chat with them, got some insights on how they're dealing with the pandemic. So I'd like to kind of give out a shout out to those members. Mary Scraw, Mary Ann Grief, Sue Hanegraaff, Donna Shaw, Wendy Fifo, Pam Slisak, Karen Smolinski, Sherry Tuzinski, Janet Coffey, and Lori Ryan. Many thanks to you for being a part of that. The next thing I'd like to do is talk to you about some kind of exciting things that we're doing even in this time. The first thing that we're doing is there's a bunch of us that got together. And let me see if I can find a picture to show you those board members. And we tried to come up with some way of kind of, even because the art fair was canceled, we're kind of looking at some ways that we can reach out to people and engaging in the community by keeping our art fair alive. Here's a picture of the team members that were a part of that. We did that via a Zoom video conferencing, thanks to Sue Hanegraaff. And basically what we came up with for this time is a project called Chalk the Walk. It's kind of a way to spread cheer. And as Sue indicates, sunshine will soon be back in the forecast, and your new board is brimming with ideas on how to keep our club's presence alive in our community while promoting the arts during this challenging time. It actually came from an idea of Laura Caldwell that was trying to think of things we could do virtually to engage the members in what some of our club stands for, which is engaging in the arts. So we decided on a Spread Cheer, Chalk the Walk activity open to families in our communities or families residing in the school districts of 203 and 204. So every 2 weeks, beginning as early as this weekend, a theme will be posted and promoted for individuals and families to draw and submit pictures of their sidewalk creations with chalk. Our first theme is going to be heroes, whether it's a superhero, a first responder, a nurse, or maybe even Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Depending on the community response with the first couple of themes, we hope to continue this through the summer and maybe beyond. Entries will be posted on our club's social media and promoted broadly to the local news media. If you, as a club member, are interested in supporting this new initiative, what you can do is spread the word by distributing flyers that we will make available to you while you're walking in your neighborhood or walking in the parks. Just bring a flyer along and distribute it to engage our community. If you want to help in another way, please contact Laura Caldwell. Watch your inbox later this week from Eileen for an important flyer. So I think this will be fun. I know a lot of people are doing similar types of things, and I'm glad that we can be a part of it and keep our focus on the arts during the summer. The next project we're doing was actually initiated by Melody Coleman. Melody will continue on our board as our club historian as well as our archivist, and she wants us to do what I call For the Record project. She wants us to document, whether it's photos, journal entries, thoughts about what life is like for each one of our members while we shelter in place. So the purpose of this should be fun project is to document our experiences of being quarantined. How does this affect us? What visual and written messages can we preserve for historic documentation? So she's looking again for pictures. I've got about 10 that I'm ready to send her. Maybe thoughts on what you really miss the most. Do you miss movies, concerts, hanging out with friends, lunches, restaurants? What do you miss? Or if you are keeping a journal of this, would you be willing to share that? So look forward in your email from Eileen on directions how to participate in that. That to me is really exciting, if not necessary. Okay, as a membership meeting would usually proceed, we usually have updates from our different committees. We don't have committee updates for everybody, but I am going to give you a couple. So a couple of agenda items from our committees include membership. You may have already received, and hopefully, an invoice with a membership form. Our treasurers, Karen Mortel, our new treasurer, and Karen Smolinski, our outgoing treasurer, have decided to do an invoice to do this and attach it to our membership form. So if you haven't done that, please do so. Complete the membership form, your invoice and your check of $70 for membership dues, and mail that to the club address, which is 14 South Washington Street, Naperville, 60540. We do need those personal information forms because Pam Cieslak, who's going to be continuing to do our meetings when we meet again, needs them in order to do a lunch schedule for the luncheon committee. We also need that information for membership to update addresses, phone numbers, emails, things like that. Again, mail your invoice and your check and your membership form to the clubhouse. This year on the invoice form, there is a place where you can charge your dues to a credit card. So on that form, it'll be asking for your credit card information. Keep in mind that there will be a slight processing fee of a little over $2 in order for us to process that via the credit card. So if you haven't done that, get that done as soon as possible. The next thing I'd like to do is the treasurer's report. I know a lot of us, including me, have been quite nervous about what are we going to do? Are we going to be able to afford all of our expenses of the club and the building, especially without having the art fair, which is our primary resource for funds to continue our club activities? But here's a couple of things that Karen Smolinski and Karen Mortel wanted us to know. Financials have been reviewed several times in light of the art fair cancellation. They want us to know that we do have sufficient funds at the present to pay for all of our essential expenses, taxes, insurance, utilities. All the discretionary expenses are being reviewed by committees now. For example, all of you got the annual report via email this time rather than in a paper document format. That was allowing us to save $200. We are in the process of collecting all of the monies due us, whether it be refunds or credits from the art fairs, things like that. This should be a shout out to the art fair committee, including our art fair director, Marie, who has done a phenomenal job of all the processes that need to be done to cancel that art fair. So that is going to be done, and most of that should be done in the near future. This is a process, and we hope to publish a revised budget once this is done in June. But she wanted to assure you, and I'm here to assure you, that you're not to worry. We planned ahead. There were many, many hours that Donna, Karen Smolinski, and I spent poring over that budget, trying to figure out a way to sustain us if something like this happens. Although we never thought it would be a pandemic. Let's be clear, we never thought about that. So just to give you some insurance and assurance that we are okay for a while. And we will be getting together and figuring out where do we go from here. But we are okay right now. Now I'd like to move on, as long as I mentioned it, to the Fine Arts and Artisans Fair. As I said, refunds when possible are being given to us. In some cases, our vendors or subcontractors ask that we pay it forward and use it for the 2021 art fair, and we've decided to do that. I'd personally like to send out a special thanks to Janet Coffey, Donna Shaw, Karen Smolinski, Karen Mortel, and Marie Gaznata for their timely completion of the cancellation process. If you think it's hard to run an art fair, it's just as hard to cancel an art fair. So just to know that that is all in order and running as smoothly as can be expected, and probably better than expected. I'd like to move on to the next item that's a big part of our club, which is the Witches' Night Out. The board will meet in the next week to review the feasibility to continue this event planning in lieu of Governor Pritzker's Restore Illinois 5-phase reopening that he announced yesterday. So hopefully, again, we'll meet in the next week to go over the feasibility of continuing to plan that event. All other committee chairs will be reaching out to new members based on your membership form, so get that in joining their committee, and any members that are on it, if you want to stay on the committee or maybe move over to another committee. I'd like to take this time to encourage you to be on at least one committee. All of you have wonderful ideas that you draw from your experience in the club and in your past life, and we want you to be a part of the contributory process for our committees to move forward. In part 2 of the video, I'll talk a little more about the committee. I do want to point out that the Chalk the Walk effort was a team project. I'm very excited about all of us getting together. It represents philanthropy, programs, fine arts, leaderships, the treasurer, and the communications. So all of those people were involved in that already. So as you can see, we're moving forward in this time with a very solid team approach. I feel like I should be asking if you have any questions. But if you do, you can email me at sbmckeown, SBMCKEON, the number 1 at AOL.com. sbmckeown1 at AOL.com. Okay. The last thing I'd like to talk about in this particular part of the video is actually Governor Pritzker's Restore Illinois 5-phase project or initiative. So I want you to know that as of yesterday, we officially started phase 2, which is retroactive to May 1st. Phase 3, according to Governor Pritzker, will begin no earlier than 5/29. So basically that means that we're still sheltering in. We can't have no memberships, no membership meetings, and we're kind of wearing masks when we go out, gloves if you have it, minimizing public outgoings and goings on if you can. But how that affects us is we will have no meetings in May. Just to kind of understate a little bit, if you didn't see what he says, I believe our county DuPage is in the Northeast region as identified in his Restore Illinois initiative. That also includes counties of Cook, Will, Kankakee, Grundy, Kendall, Kane, Lake, and McHenry. In every region must meet explicit benchmarks of progress. And as you can expect, depending on where your region is, your benchmark might be sooner or later. We are in the region, as identified by the initiative, that is inclusive with Chicago, where the biggest outbreak is. So I suppose that looking forward, we might expect that our benchmarks might be reached a little bit more slowly. But again, every region must meet very explicit benchmarks of progress, which are less than 20% of the people tested are COVID-19 positive. There must also be an increase no more than 10% over a 2-week period. There should be no overall increase in hospitalizations for COVID-19 for at least 28 days. And there must be enough ICU beds to handle a 14% surge. So those are the guidelines that we follow. As you know, we have to be a little bit more cautionary in how we move. Our population being elderly, so to speak, or the older population in terms of average age, that puts us kind of in what they call the high-risk area. So what's next? What's next? What's next for us? How does this matter to me? Well, again, there'll be no clubhouse membership meetings in May according to the governor's ruling. The second thing is the board will meet in the next week via a video conference to review Witches Night Out plans, contacts, and projections. 3, we will examine and explore other virtual avenues for meetings of membership, which will probably include continuing of these YouTube videos, so you better hope I get better at it. And lastly, to brainstorm other activities or virtual activities to help us stay engaged. Of course, we will be examining and revising the budget accordingly, and we will keep you posted on that. I would like to mention one thing that I believe Eileen has already sent out to you. It was the passing of one of our members, Diane Ramonis, which is a very sad story. I don't know if any of you know that Diane also did have the coronavirus, as well as suffering for a second time with breast cancer. And Diane passed recently, pretty quickly after her husband unexpectedly passed from COVID-19. So please keep her in our thoughts and prayers. She was a wonderful lady. I don't know if you remember, but she worked at Loaves and Fishes. It was our contact person in the club when we donate all the canned goods that we do as part of our Witches Night Out project. I'd like to show you a picture that I have of her, that thanks to Sue Hanegraaff, that was sent. As you can see, those were a picture of Diane with Wendy and Sue, who, by the way, were wonderful in their outreach to Diane during the last several months, providing her with meals, keeping in touch with her daughter, Alexandra. It is with heart-wrenching remorse that we feel about Diane's passing. But keep in mind, she did suffer from breast cancer, but also keep in mind that this virus is nothing to ignore. Be vigilant in your practices as we move forward. As your new president, I'm open to any and all ideas on how we can keep in touch, keep our mission in mind, and move forward for this year. And another note I want to tell you, I'm probably not going to be a Donna or a Julie in my attention to detail. Those guys set a really high bar. I will do my best to follow it. But we have a different road to follow this year. We will travel this new road, and we will travel it hand in hand. Looking forward to a new but challenging year, and I will have another video following up introducing you to our new board members. Be well, stay safe.